I don't know about you, but I'm not super jazzed about having to make an intermediary component between every place that I need to do this kind of thing. It seems to make sense that anytime I want to get a slice of state, I should be able to do that pretty easily without doing a bunch of work like this. So what I'm going to do is make a higher order component to do all of this for me. So I'm going to make a function called withStateSlice that's going to take a component that I want to grab a slice of state and a function that I use to get the slice of state that I want. And then I'm going to do all of this same stuff that I was doing before, and we'll simply return the cell. Now we just need to make this generic. So we're going to take that component instead of the cell impl, and instead of row and column specifically, we're just going to call these props, and we'll spread those props right here. And instead of calling this cell, maybe it makes more sense to call that wrapper. And then instead of calling this cell, we'll probably want to call it just state in general. And then this cell value should just be whatever the state is. So we're going to actually call slice with our state and our props. And then whoever uses this with state slice is going to do their own calculation to get that slice. So we'll save that for later. And then here we can go ahead and call this cell. And then down here, I'm going to say cell is reassigned to with state slice cell, and then here's our state slicer function. It's going to take the state, it's going to take the props, and then it's going to return the slice of state that we want. So I'm just going to grab that, paste it right there, and then maybe we'll destructure these props to row and column like we had it before. And that's looking pretty stellar, except the cell is no longer memoized, and we are accepting a cell when it's actually passing a state. So let's go ahead and we'll take that state and we'll just alias it to cell. So that takes care of that problem. And I don't know, let's go ahead and memoize this. We'll say const memo comp is react.memo of that component, and then we'll render the memo comp instead. Great. So now if I record that, I click one of these, now we're getting these things not rendering, which is exactly what we're looking for. And it's just our wrapper components that are rendering. But honestly, I'm not super jazzed about the wrapper showing up in my components tab, especially when this wrapper could wrap a lot of different types of components. So what I'm going to do is we're going to say wrapper.displayName is with state slice, following this higher order component convention for the naming. And we'll say comp display name or comp.name. And now we're going to get a much better name for our wrapper. Oh, except we need to make sure we assign that to the wrapper itself, not what we get back from react.memo. So in fact, what I'm going to do is we'll just return that directly. And now we're assigning the display name to that function. There we go. Awesome. So now we have cell, and we can see that's a memoized component. And there's one other thing here with state slice. So the DevTools are built in with this convention for higher order components, which makes our DevTools look a lot nicer. To take this a step further, what if somebody wanted to pass a ref to this wrapper component or to the underlying cell component, and we wanted to be able to accept that ref and do something with it? Well, in that case, we're going to need to use react.forward ref, and then we'll be able to accept that ref, and we can forward that ref right along. And this is a pretty nice higher order component for which we can apply this kind of pattern anytime we want to get a specific slice of the state, and we can take advantage of memoization. So now if I hit the profiler and go, then we're solid. We are only rendering the components that actually care about this update. In review, what we did here is we took that middleman component and we made it general by making a higher order component that generates the middleman component. It accepts a component, memoizes that component, and then ultimately renders it. And it also accepts a slice function, which it uses to pass the state prop so that this component can accept that state prop and do whatever it needs to with it. And now this cell only re-renders when the slice of state it cares about is changed.